Today, this one for the underdogs, letting you know how little is much. It's much. In the hands and the face of God, Allah, Yahweh, whoever He is to you, it's much. You just gotta cast your bread on the water and believe. And sometimes that's hard, especially when you're looking at the odds that's against you. Yeah, you the underdog, but you're looking at the big dogs. Maybe you're an artist and you ain't got the major equipment. Maybe you can't afford the major equipment. Maybe you're an artist and it's time to perform and you ain't got the latest trends because you can't afford it. Just being that underdog. Don't worry about what you got. Believe from your heart. I'm aware of the facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? And whatever your dream is, whatever your craft is, get that to the man upstairs. Get that to God, Allah, Buddha, whoever he is to you. You get that to him and let him multiply. That's one thing I like about the story of Jesus. Say one of his miraculous miracles was when he took 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and he multiplied and fed 1,000 people. That's deep. Because technically, how the fuck is 5 loaves and 2 fish gonna feed 5,000 people? I'm aware of the facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? Technically, the underdog, you don't have money for equipment. You don't have money for clothes. You don't have money for marketing. You don't. just don't. How the fuck is you gonna make it in that industry? But one thing you do have is faith. And can't believe, can't nobody take that from you. And just working on your craft. Let's look at David. David was a little thing on the field. Now here come this big ass giant talking about they gonna challenge the Israelites. Nobody from King Solomon camp stood up. They all laughing at David. You see what I'm saying? But he stood up. He stood up. But if you look at that, how the fuck is he gonna win compared to this giant? I'm aware of the facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? You smaller than him. Your hand, it just got you beat all the way around. But it's one thing that David had was that faith. His faith, and he gave himself to the man upstairs. And he wound up beating that giant. Not only did he beat the giant, he cut the head off. He cut the head off and brought it back to the king. So don't really worry about it. And it's a message for the underdogs. Don't really worry about what you don't have. Don't focus, majorly focus on what you do have. Because if you focus on what you don't have, you're going to get more of that. But if you focus on what you have, that'll expand. Because whatever you focus on will grow. So if I'm focusing all day, every day, I'm focusing on my craft. I'm focusing on my faith. I'm focusing on becoming better. I'm not worrying about what I don't. The minute I start worrying about what I don't have, I get more of that. But if I stay steadfast in what I do have, I'm aware of the facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? What I do have to offer, up in my value, and standing on faith. It don't have no choice but to come. It don't have no choice but to come. And it's always at least one out the miss that's meant to do something great. Like out of all of the people that that was in his camp, none of them had the balls to stand up to the giant. It took him, but what if he never stood up? Then that giant would have never been defeated. At this point, you can go to Moses. Now Moses was a Hebrew. Right? You know what I mean? And we all know the story how his mama put him on that river because the king made a decree that he wanted all the firstborns to be dead. So she wanted to save her baby, had a better chance of going on that river. He wound up being raised by the king people, the very people that is killing his people. He was raised by them. They raised him. Kind of fast forward this, he wound up, first of all, his mother wound up being his babysitter. You know what I mean? The king folk folks wind up hiring a lady from the Israelite, so she getting paid to raise her baby. But the point of the story that I want to make is he eventually found out who he was. She told him who he was. He wound up killing a man and fleeing. You know what I mean? In the midst of that, him fleeing in the wilderness, God came to him and told him, hey man, this your purpose, man. You're going to come back. You're going to free them people. You know what I mean? And Moses stuttered. I'm a word of facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? He stuttered. He could have been like, how the fuck am I going to do it? But the point, I will come back to that. The point I want to make is, imagine if Moses never came back. Them motherfucking Hebrews would have still been under the hands of Pharaoh. Nobody would have got freed. It's always one in the midst, at least one in the midst that's called to do that thing. But if you don't answer the call, then you causing a huge disservice to the world. Now, if Moses never answered that call, he focused on his stuttering ability. He focused on everything negative. He would have got more of that. But by him putting his faith into God, Allah, whoever he is to you, that's how he was able to conquer. That's how he was able to free his people from the hands of Pharaoh. Just imagine that. He said, man, forget them Hebrews, them Israelites. I'm going to stay right here in this wilderness with these sheep and my woman. I ain't worried about them. But he answered the call. You know what I mean? And going back to the point of David, that's how I was with David too. Imagine if he never answered the call. That giant would have kept fucking with him and kept fucking with their people and kept fucking with their people. So, to you underdogs, to us underdogs, let's not focus on what we don't have. I'm a word of facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? Let's just sharpen our knife, sharpen our knife, sharpen our knife, and put our faith in whoever you believe, God, Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, whoever he is to you. But stand on faith, on the back of money, saying, God, everybody chasing that money, but don't nobody read this shit in the back. And God we trust. If you stand on that, you stand on him, he gonna exalt you in due time. But this is the thing that I want to leave with you. I'm a word of facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? Once he calling you, you gotta answer the call. You gotta answer the call, because if you don't answer the call, people gonna fall. You giving the world a huge disservice. Just like David. If David had never answered the call and stood up to the moment that he was made for, because David was a shepherd over the sheep. David slew a lion with a fucking slingshot. Same with Moses. By Moses being in the wilderness, he was over sheep too, leading sheep. So all that in the midst of his downfall was actually the ingredients, that very thing that he needed to win, to excel. But if you don't answer the call and stand up to the moment, generations, bro, can fall. The evolution won't progress. So when he calling, you gotta answer the call and stand up to the moment, because people of the future depending on you. And it's at least one in the midst. Think about this too. I'm gonna leave this with you, man. It's not the big groups. If you look at the government, the Congress, and the legislature, man, it's 10, 15 people at a table giving rules about the whole world, laying down laws about the whole world. The treasury, all of them, it's the very small group. It's the very, it's the very small group to give the big orders. So that's the same with us underdogs. Yeah, you the underdog, you don't have much, but he worked with little, and he make that great. That's how he work. He wants you to know, man, Because at the end, he wants you to know, hey, I couldn't have done this without you. It ain't nowhere in hell, Dave, he could have slew that damn giant without the man upstairs. It's nowhere in hell. It's nowhere in hell Moses could have lived with his people without the man upstairs and did the great works that he did. Caused all them plagues to come to Pharaoh, contaminating that water. There's no way in hell he could have did it. So he wants you to take the smallest thing and raise him up, raise her up. I'm a word of facts, but I ain't moved by the facts because my faith is in who? You, the world will know, not only the world, you will know too, that it was through his hands, his mighty hand. So you gotta answer the call. And just how big things, big laws come from that small group, the legislature, the treasury, the Congress, our government. That's the same with you, the underdog working with that small thing. And from that small thing, great things gonna happen. It's the rise of the underdogs. Keep working on you, focus on your value, keep sharpening your motherfucking knife. Cause when the time comes, we gonna chop off the head of these motherfucking giants. 100.